Hello everyone, what's going on? I'm Gav, Master974 back again today, and welcome to a different kind of video because today I'm talking about something that I am a little bit passionate about and is something that I feel is very important, and I do need to at least talk about this to some capacity, even though I feel I might be preaching to the choir with this subject matter. But I'm talking about Stop Killing Games. Now, you may have heard of it, you may not. If you don't know what Stop Killing Games is, it is basically an initiative to try and stop publishers of video games from destroying said video games. So this was spearheaded by one of my favourite creators on YouTube, Ross Scott of Accursed Farms. Definitely worth checking their channel out. And they've done quite a lot of videos talking about this, going way back to the Games as a Service is Forward video, and then culminating in Dead Game News of The Crew, and then launching the Stop Killing Games initiative as a result of The Crew, which was published by Ubisoft, which is a company that's based in France, shutting the game down and giving the players of, well, the people who had copies of The Crew no recourse to play the game, even going as far as to take people's licenses of the game away from them, which is criminal if you ask me. But basically, as it stands right now, at this point in time, about a week ago, Ross did a video talking about the end of the Stop Killing Games campaign because basically he's exhausted all conceivable avenues that he's thought of with, trying to reach out to as many people as possible, using his platform to spread messages and then trying to get other volunteers and that to spread the word. And it was looking pretty bad because the last two avenues that could be pursued is a UK-based government petition and also a European Citizens Initiative, both with the signature count not looking too good at the time Ross did his video. But then what happened? You had people like Moist Critical and Mutahar from Some Ordinary Gamers, Asman Gold, and even as recently as today, July 1st, we had PewDiePie come out and say, just did a post saying check out the Stop Killing Games and leave a signature if you're in the EU or the UK. So again, a lot of big YouTubers came out in support of Stop Killing Games. But part of the issue with the Stop Killing Games campaign was one of the biggest detractors of the campaign, someone who is going by Pirate Software online. You may have heard of them. And from the gist of it, that guy basically lied and misrepresented what the Stop Killing Games movement was all about in the first place. Like saying it was supposed to be about single player games and DRM, which was just not true, to making multiplayer games single player games, which also was not true, and criticising the, generalisation of the European Citizens Initiative. Bearing in mind there's stuff like character limits and word limits, so you can't be too verbose or you can't be too specific, otherwise you end up missing out on edge cases. So his criticisms were not really that legit, all things considered, because basically Ross countered everything he had to say, the misinformation and the misrepresentation of what happened regarding the Stop Killing Games campaign. So Ross only ended up talking about the Pirate Software drama because it was a last-ditch effort. The campaign's basically nearly over at this point. The UK petition at the time of this video recording only has less than 2 weeks to go, and the European Citizens Initiative only has until the end of July before that closes. So it's like a last-ditch effort. I've got to talk about this, otherwise, it might not actually happen. So in that regard, I think Ross did the right thing and put the record straight, and of course, by doing his video and getting people to talk about it, it got larger content creators to talk about it, to spread positive messages on their platform regarding the campaign. Now we see some positive momentum happening. So at the time I'm doing this video, I can tell you that the UK petition has about 64,000 signatures, and the European Citizens Initiative has around 740,000 signatures. So just for some clarification, the UK petition needs to get to 100,000, that's another 36,000 signatures in about less than 2 weeks. And the European Citizens Initiative needs to get about another 250,000 signatures in the next month. So It's looking good because there's been some positive momentum, but I just wanted to give some insights as to how I feel about the UK petition in particular as someone who is a UK resident. Now, the thing is, this is something that I wanted to bring up. Now, you might remember this if you're actually in the UK, but there's actually a petition that went around earlier this year where someone wanted to essentially have another general election because the current government was not doing a very good job, let's be honest about it. You know, the government in the UK right now could be doing a hell of a lot better than they're doing. And there's a lot of distrust and frustration that you can feel within the country right now. And that's why this petition actually ended up happening. Now, just for some context as well regarding these UK petitions, once the threshold gets to 10,000, there's supposed to be a official government response, which has already happened with the Stop Killing Games petition. But when it gets to 100,000 signatures, that's when it's supposed to go to the parliamentary committee for a debate. Well, this petition calling for a general election managed to get to a grand total of 3 million signatures. Yeah, I'm not joking. 3 million signatures this petition got. So it's a big deal. And the crux of the response from the government was, fuck you, no, we're not calling a general election. It doesn't matter how bad of a job we're doing. It doesn't count. We're in charge and we decide when the next general election is, which is probably 4 years from now, because 1 year's already passed since the last general election was called. So my thinking is, if a petition like that got 3 million signatures can just cast away like nothing, then that makes me feel that the Stop Killing Games petition's gonna suffer from a similar fate, especially because the government's already said that they don't plan on it making any changes to the law. So if the UK government is basically saying we don't plan on making any changes right now, then what's the chances that they're actually going to do something if this gets to 100,000 signatures? They could just do what Pirate Software did, which is misrepresent or lie about what Stop Killing Games is all about, misunderstand or misinterpret what it is that they actually want to achieve, and then use that as a way to say, well, that's unreasonable. No, that's not happening. So deep down, I feel that the UK petition is a bit of a lost cause, but I will still suggest any UK residents that watch this video before July 14th, 2025 to sign that petition if you can, because we'd rather be 6 votes over the threshold rather than 6 votes under the threshold, and getting over that threshold would then at least confirm or deny whether or not we have a chance to make a difference in the UK, versus it still being a grey area, essentially. But the European Citizens Initiative I have a bit more confidence for, not only because it seems to have more momentum behind it than the UK petition, but also because there could be grounds for much larger change to happen within the European Union than it could happen in the UK. I mean, the European Union covers Europe and European countries, so they can actually cause a much bigger impact in the gaming sphere than just the UK could. Now, I don't know about the EU bureaucracy or government or anything like that, or their legal systems, so I don't know if they're as bad, if not worse, than the UK is in this regard. But all we can really hope for is that they understand at least the situation that pertains to video games, especially games as a service video games like Destiny, for example. I mean, I'd admit I'd spent way more hours than I'd like to admit to in this, and as I drop the case, Destiny 2. Yeah, you know, the Red War campaign? Yeah, you can't play it anymore. Bungie BTFO'd it, and now they lost the files apparently, so they can't even bring it back even if they wanted to. It's just an absolute mess, these games as a service games, especially when they shut down and leave the customers with no recourse to play the game again. And that's what this campaign's all about, is being able to play the damn game that you actually paid for. Like, this wasn't free. I had to pay money to get this game. Maybe I didn't, but you know, someone had to pay money to get this at some point, and now it's just it's gone. You can't play it. Well, at least the vanilla content that I just talked about in Destiny 2. I mean, technically you can still play the game, but the point is one day it's not going to be playable. So that's why Stop Killing Games is so important to me, because all it would really amount to is just memories if the game shuts down and you're given no recourse to play it ever again. So that is what I have to say about Stop Killing Games. I'm trying to do this video and upload it with the sort of hashtag Stop Killing Games to tie in with a social media movement to try and get some, publicity, I guess. But as I said, I'm probably preaching to the choir. I'm not going to reach any new people. But if you do want to support the campaign, then check out stopkillinggames.com. And if you're a UK resident, then sign the petition for the UK. If you're a EU resident, then sign the petition for the EU. And I just hope that maybe one day we can get some definitive answers about this stuff. Because the last thing I would want is for something like my recollection of Destiny 2 to just be memories and have no ability to go back to the game and play it and try to enjoy it. I mean, did have some bad experiences, but also some good experiences too. But it shouldn't just be you had to be there to play the game, because that's not really fair now, is it? So I'll love you and leave you for now. Let me know what you think about Stop Killing Games and what you think about games as a service games, and if you feel like there's any chance for these sort of government initiatives to actually do anything or change anything. I don't feel optimistic for the UK petition, but I'm more optimistic for the EU petition. And out of the two, if there was one that I would want to actually hit the threshold legit and get have success in that regard, it would be the EU petition, in my opinion anyway. Again, for the reason I said earlier, if our government can just turn around and throw away a 3 million signed petition like it's nothing, I have a feeling they'll do the same thing for Stop Killing Games here in this case. But anyway, hopefully you have a good day and spread the message about Stop Killing Games, share the website, share the petitions, do whatever you can to reach as many people as you can, and hopefully games won't get killed, at least at some point in the future. So let me know what you think, and sorry for screwing up with this video. I just want to get this out for July 2nd, basically. That's just what this is. It's a rushed mess, but hopefully the next video will be different and much better in terms of quality. Alright, I gotta go. Hashtag Stop Killing Games.